Hey there everybody, it's Blood Rose, and with me today I have...
Oh, you want me to introduce? You see, you need to tell me these things.
Anyway...
I'm Dakota.
No, fuck you, you can't do it anymore. Your time to shine is over. Say guys, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. What I'm going to be calling Late Night Fanfictions with mainly Dakota. It's 2:42 at night right now. Or in the morning for some of you weird people who like to consider this still the morning.
It is the morning, Jack.
Shut the fuck
It's
up.
called AM.
Listen, until you go to sleep and wake up, it's night, okay? Okay.
Nitpicky little fuck.
Okay, so here's a few options. If you enjoyed this, leave a like or a comment on what you want us to do a fanfiction next, and we'll probably do it. Also, if you want to see webcams next time, let us know so that we can make sure Dakota's not naked.
I can't believe you fucking told them that.
I told him put on the mask. He wouldn't do it.
God damn it. Alright. Then I suppose it's time for a disclaimer. Abandon all hope, ye who click on this video.
Oh wait, before we also start, I have no idea how long this video could be. It could be 10 minutes. It could be 15. It could be an hour. It probably won't be over an hour, though.
I want all of you to brace for impact.
What he means is ready your bums, because you're going to need to collect them.
And after I read this title, there's going to be a pause. That pause will give you enough time to click off of the video and just drown yourself in bleach. Because trust me. Everyone ready? Yes? No? Good. The title of this little story...
Wait, you gotta tell them what we're doing.
What do you mean? We're reading fan fiction.
What are we doing?
We're reading fan fiction,
Why
Jack.
are we reading fanfictions?
Because it's 2 in the morning and you thought it'd be a good idea.
Disclaimer warning, my screen is going to be blinking throughout this time because it's the only way that I can unprofessionally put it in there without editing in because I'm lazy as balls.
Everyone ready? Then here it is. The title of this story is How Videl Discovered Her Abortion Fetish.
Say what now?
For those of you who happen to not be keeping track, Videl is a character from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, I thought
Don't
you
worry.
said Adele. Oh, that makes this 10 times less worse.
But don't worry, kids. You don't need to know anything about Videl in order to fully enjoy this fan fiction.
Yeah, we have to enjoy that. By disclaimer, by the way, I didn't know anything he was going to do. I just said pick a fan fiction, no matter how horrendous it is, and I'll read it, or basically have him read it, and... Well, yeah. Alright, continue.
Let me begin. Videl was an 18-year-old, good-looking girl with long legs and short black hair. She had a boyfriend and a fairly normal sex life, meaning she had sex with him usually every day.
My boyfriend
He was
saved the
boy
world.
number... Yeah, my boyfriend saved the world. No big deal.
It's a normal love life. He saved the world. Did I mention that?
He was boy number 2 in her life, and so far she had used the pill as contraception. I can't even fucking do this because I know what's about to happen. Contraception successfully. So she was not too interested in the subject of abortion, except she was pro-choice, but rather in a theoretical manner.
What?
Of course, she would get pregnant. She would know where and how to obtain an abortion. It is legal in Japan up to 12 weeks on demand, and in neighboring Thailand, nobody will ask any questions up to 22 weeks, and in some clinics, 28 weeks.
Is that
Not
really a
exactly
thing?
legal, but openly tolerated. Yes, I actually looked this up, as much as it depresses me to say. Yeah. The numbers have changed just a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty much in the ballpark.
That's pretty far ahead, but alright.
Yeah. So she didn't bother it.
She didn't bother it.
Yeah. It was on a July weekend in Osaka when she dropped by a bookshop and had a look at the women's corner, where everything from the latest diet to sex tips was the trade of the day. She opened a book on sexual self-determination, and somehow she took some time to have a look at the chapter dealing with abortion. The different techniques from suction, dilation, and curettage, dilation, and evacuation, or intact extraction, saline abortions, and even cesarean abortions were laid out in graphic detail, and some of the pictures really caught her attention. Although some of the photos of inserted forceps pulling out fetal body tissue parts looked pretty disturbing on first sight, an odd fascination made Videl virtually stare at them. She made sure nobody could look over her shoulder seeing what she was reading and looking at, and started to absorb every little detail the book could provide. She bought it and went to her hotel. Reading over the chapter, she came to the second chapter on abortion, the title of which nearly stopped her breathing. Are abortions fun?
What? Hold up. What?
Yes.
Leave it to Dakota to pick out the one thing that I never even want to hear about. Not only did he pick something that I'm not really for, then yes, please get mad, because, ooh, big deal. Oh god, I have an opinion. But he found a fetish based off of it.
You told me I could do anything, however
know.
horrific.
And now I'm regretting it. Continue.
She had always thought of abortion as a necessary evil and a right that women should be able to exercise without being questioned. But thinking of them as something enjoyable did it never come to her mind.
Did it never
Nevertheless,
come to her mind?
she started wondering whether her own morbid interest in reading the stuff did not have the same undercurrent feeling that the book's author laid out on the pages in front of her eyes.
You're scaring me, Dakota.
Talk about breaking the taboo of killing the unborn fetus and about the sexual arousal and feeling of helplessness women feel experienced lying on the abortion table that contributed to it.
Wait, hold up a second.
Did many women what?
This girl. Alright, let me point something out for all the non-fans. If you know of Dragon Ball Z, because this is where this character is from, okay, if you know of Dragon Ball Z, right, you at least know that there are major duper, super duper major villains, okay? And typically these villains are not world threatening, but universe threatening, okay? Okay, I want to point out that this girl had to go through dealing with Cell in the world, okay? And basically what Cell was a murderous man who killed
Not even
people.
A man, that was an in. Cell was an insect.
Basically killed anyone he didn't like, and when he was starting out, took cities down just to feed his power lust. Okay, she had to go through a time period with this thing for a year or so, I believe. No, Cell wasn't around that long. It was a good bit. And she thinks that she's going to get pleasure out of... Okay, you know what? Continue. I don't even want to look into this anymore.
Yeah, you shouldn't have wanted to in the first place, but let's continue. I've read this fanfiction in the 3 times now. What's the 4th time?
What?
Yeah. It's also reported many women obtained the procedure enjoying the feeling of being emptied, the contraction of the uterus in the process of the vacuum suction and going with a sexual arousal, and in many instances led to a climactic orgasmic experience for them.
I love it when my doctor sexually arouses me with a vacuum cleaner.
Videl did not know how long had been reading the intricate and delicate details of the descriptions dealing with abortion experiences from 5 weeks gestation to 39 when her boyfriend knocked at her door and wanted to come in. Nervously, she closed the book and put it into her luggage. She did not want Gohan to see what she was reading, being afraid he would laugh at her. When she stood up to go to the room door, she realized her slip was soaking wet. It was in fact so wet one could hear her pussy lips swamp on every step she made, or so it seemed to her. I am with you in a minute, Gohan. Just let me finish my toilet, please, she called out. She had to change her slip, or else she was afraid he would hear that wet sound from her pussy lips and wondered why that was the case. She dumped into the bathroom, cleaned her dripping pussy with a paper hanky, and got a fresh slip. As she stepped into her room again, he, his sight fell on her bag, which contained the book that had captured her. Oh my god. Captured so much of her attention this afternoon. She experienced a slight shiver thinking of the pictures showing the insertion of forceps, vacuum tubes, sharp-bladed curettes, and dilators into other women's vaginas. She knew she wanted to know more about this. No, she wanted to know all about this. She would go to every little bookshop in town and surf the web in every little corner to learn everything about abortion and the pleasures it provided to the knowing.
Okay.
Hi, Gohan. Hi, Videl. Their hello was short and informal. Videl was aroused from what she had consumed and decided she needed satisfaction immediately. I want you to fuck me here and now, Gohan, she moaned. And before he knew what was happening to him, she had opened his pants, pulled them down, and with hands knowing how to handle him, she made him ready in a moment. She got off her slip, pulled up her skirt, and while laying down on the desk in front of the bed, she opened up her legs and pulled him into her soaking wet vagina. She closed her eyes as he penetrated her deeply.
I'm gonna
Why
have to
does
age
this...
restrict this.
Yeah, I know. She closed her eyes as he penetrated her deeply. Why does this fucking desk not have any stirrups or knee rests? She wondered silently while the pumping movements they both made raised her orgasm very fast to her first climax. She had her eyes still closed, and in her imagination she was lying on a surgical table in a clinic. Her legs opened, and up in the air the doctors were enter the room, insert a large tube, penetrate her with it, and suck the fetus out of her wide-open cavity.
Oh, wait, so hold on. That took... I was, like, not paying attention for, like, 3 seconds. That took a very, very quick turn into the orphanage. Could you please repeat that?
Let's see here. She had her eyes still closed. In her imagination, she was lying on a surgical table in a clinic. Her eyes opened, and up in the air the doctor would enter a room, insert a large tube, penetrate her with it, and suck the fetus out of her wide-open cavity.
She was imagining this?
Yes.
Okay, that makes
Oh no,
a lot more sense.
don't worry. Don't worry. She gets an abortion later on.
Okay.
The imagination of receiving an abortion heightened her sexual feelings once more. As she came again, she could not suppress a whisper saying, "Suck it, please. Suck it out." Gohan was too busy with his own orgasm to register she had said anything that didn't make sense to him. With a loud breathing, he ejaculated into her as they both came. Videl convulsed, contracting cervical muscles, suctioned his warm sperm into her uterus and up into her ovaries, where they happened to meet, the result of Videl forgetting to take her pill that morning.
Oh, God.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, that was good. I needed that right now, she said to Gohan when he pulled out of her in a stream of liquid, a mixture of sperm and her own wetness,
Yo, hold
flowed
up.
out of her vagina.
I gotta stop this. For any of you Dragon Ball Z fans, just realize that if Videl actually had this want, okay? Just realize GT would be good. I want you to think about that long and hard. GT would be good if Videl did this.
You are metagaming way too hard.
I'm trying to make it better.
You're trying to make it better, but everyone here knows that there's no making this better.
I know, continue.
For one wetness flowed out onto the vagina onto the carpet next to the desk. Gohan was puzzled. I didn't know you were a fan of quickies, but I have to admit, it was a nice surprise. We could do that more often. Yes, Gohan, I think we should. Back in Tokyo, Videl had a good time. Having sex with Gohan was still good, though she had an adventure with a good-looking guy from the Capsule Corporation, whom she loved to fuck in dangerous places. In general, she had developed a sense for dangerous situations and used them as a turn-on. So Gohan provided her bread and butter sex, and Vegeta was her little in-between excitement. But with both guys, she had used her...
I'm trying to, like, cleanse my mind with bleach every time you read. Are you telling me she's fucking cheating too?
Yep.
Okay, continue.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit her little in-between excitement. But with both guys, she had used her new imagination about having an abortion as a way to increase her orgasmic pleasure. She had searched the web for information on it, but what she had found so far was pretty little value, either in terms of information or in terms of turn-on.
Oh my god, I just realized something. If Videl was actually cheating and was doing it with Vegeta, no wonder Pam was such a bitch.
It was early October when she somehow felt unease over her current relationship with the two guys she was still using the pill, but recently she had felt some sickness when she'd getting up in the morning. Maybe she should consult a doctor and exchange the chemical contraception she was using for another one. She would go on Friday next week. Young lady, I'm afraid changing the contraception is not exactly what I can prescribe to you right now, her gynecologist explained to her. You're 16 weeks pregnant. You're not prepared for that news, are you? No, I'm not, she replied. But nowadays that should not be a problem, should it? Well, here in Japan, you need a reason, such as health grounds, for an abortion after 12 weeks. But a friend of mine, a Japanese gynecologist, is running a facility in Bangkok. They're providing abortion services up to 22 weeks on demand, up to 36 weeks if there's a health problem whatsoever. Do you want the address? Yes, please, Videl said, and on her way back to her apartment, she started to get excited, already thinking of the prospect of having something in real life that was theoretical or fantasy up to now. Arriving at home, she immediately called the clinic in Bangkok. You're 16 weeks pregnant, you said? Yes, exactly. That won't be any problem. We can offer you an appointment next Friday. The size of your pregnancy will not require you to stay overnight, but we can do that. But we can do that on a walk-in, walk-out basis. Can I stay awake during the procedure? Fidel wanted to know. She had been thinking about it and found out she had developed a real fetish for having an abortion, and it was clear here she could only hope for the joy promised in the book. Like if she was not asleep when the doctor exterminated her fetus. No problem. That is your personal choice, was the answer she had hoped for. She took the plane to Bangkok and was lucky to have a sunshiny day when she arrived. The clinic was only a 2-minute walk from the airport, and her first impression was, oh, this is a very large clinic. How many abortions do they perform here? The leaflet she got at the reception answered her questions. 50 abortions every day, Saturday and Sunday services included. 18,500 every year since 1985.
Why did she take an airplane?
It was to Bangkok.
No. That bitch can fly across the world in under 5 minutes. Like all of the other Z fighters. Why did she take an airplane? That's what's upsetting me. Alright, continue.
Of all the things that upset you in this story.
Listen, if you're gonna make a fan fiction, you better make it accurate, okay?
But that's the point of fan fiction.
Okay, but my problem is Videl was one of the cool girls from the show or Dragon Ball Z as a whole. You can't just make her be stupidly a wimp too. You can't. But they did. Alright, continue.
Many patients were women with jobs, so having their abortion on the weekend was just a convenient thing for them. The nurse at the reception did all the paperwork, billed $450 to her Amex, and brought her directly to the Obgyn, where the abortion team of a doctor and another nurse was preparing the instruments for a procedure. She had the documents with her pre-exam from her gynecologist in Tokyo with her, and she had to do all before she could obtain her abortion was an ultrasound. She laid down at the abortion table, and the nurse inserted the ultrasound device into her vagina. It confirmed she was 5 months pregnant. So she was 2 weeks longer with fetus than she initially had heard in Tokyo. Your fetus is comparatively large for a 5 months pregnancy, but we have techniques to deal with that. So don't worry, the abortion doctor explained to her. As this is your first abortion, I will explain everything to you before we start.
That's
for those of you who have weaker...
really far along.
For those of you who have weaker stomachs, I definitely suggest you turn back now.
There's nothing like the laughter of a baby unless it's 1 a.m. and you're home alone.
There's nothing like the laughter of a baby. Unless the baby is 5 months along and you're in an abortion clinic because you have a fetish for it. I'll explain everything to you before we start. We will start with the termination by dilating your cervix, carefully inserting steel rods and softening the muscle with an injection of lananine and prostaglandine. I'm not even going to bother pronouncing those correctly because this is my now fourth time reading this, and at this point I hurt too much to care.
The fact that you do
Uh,
this with other people's concerning.
I will then insert a suction cannula of about 2 inches diameter into your uterus and remove the fetal limbs, the intestines, and the brain by suction. The head and the body will be crushed and removed by forceps. The placenta will be scraped out using a sharp curette. At the end, another suction session will complete the abortion and your unwanted pregnancy will be over.
I'm pretty sure it's simpler than that, but let's go with it.
How can you know that this is unwanted, Videl thought. I needed to be pregnant to have an abortion. Ever since reading the book, I've wanted to get one. So please move your pelvis down a little bit. It is necessary to place your vagina just above the steel bowl attached to the lower end of the abortion table so that the tissue we remove from your uterus directly falls into it when it slips out through the speculum. Now put your legs on the knee rests, open please, and relax. It won't hurt a bit. Again, I can't stress this enough. If you have a weak stomach, leave. This is your last chance. Videl started to feel the excitement which she experienced when she read the book in the Osaka store for the first time. She was pretty sure she could answer the question already. Are abortions fun? You bet, she thought. This is going to be the orgasm of my life. When the doctor inserted the speculum into her vagina, she felt like she was being penetrated by a large dildo. Her vaginal muscles contracted, and she took a deep breath in her shivering arousal.
Can she,
In her fantasy, she
bleed
went.
out? I mean, what?
She went ahead and already imagined the forceps and the suction tube inside of her taking care of the fetus. After injecting the lidocaine and some of the prostaglandine, the abortionist inserted dilator rods into her cervix and carefully stretched and widened it. The opening in her cervix was soon stretched to 2 inches. The doctor could now insert a sound to measure the exact size of the uterus and decide which forceps to use for dismembering the fetal tissue.
I gotta say, it's pretty funny that somebody put this much effort into it. I mean, to the point of looking up tools, procedures, and exactly how it goes down. I mean, like I said, they are looking at very, very elongated processes because these are processes you would only get done if the baby was going to kill the mother. That's the only reason you get an abortion at this time. But it is still very, very, very interesting that somebody put this much time into something this... What's the word?
Disturbing?
Not even that. Just, it's amusing to see the fact that people go this far for something like this.
I wouldn't use the word amusing.
It is amusing.
I would say terminally depressing.
I mean, if we're talking about the person, I mean, continue.
The doctor could now blah blah blah. Let's see here. Let me see where I was actually at. Her uterus was already more than 10 inches deep behind the cervical opening. The abortionist decided he would stretch the cervix to 4 inches using a new tool that could be inserted and expanded uniformly like a camera shutter. He inserted and expanded the cervix slowly and stepwise until he had reached 4.5 inches to compensate for the expected contraction when he took the device out again. Videl could hardly stop her pelvis from making circular movements meanwhile. In her imagination, she was patient and abortionist at the same time, cutting the fetus into pieces and pulling them out of the open speculum before placing the lacerated limbs into the waistband under the abortion table. Her vagina started to contract and hold the speculum under tension. So she was so excited now she was about to come. When the nurse told her the doctor would now start to insert the cannula for the first session of suction curettage, she climaxed for the first time. As she came moaning and groaning, her cervix convulsed visibly. The doctor inserted the suction machine and switched it on. He inserted the tongs of the forceps scissors and cut the limbs off the fetus. He then moved the tip of the suction cannula directly into the amputated limbs and sucked them out of the uterus and the steel bowl between Videl's legs. He then cut off the umbilical cord and started opening the fetal body with a pointed pair of scissors to insert the suction tube into the fetus. A few seconds later, the intestines were bit into the steel bowl, and only the empty torso, the skull, and the placenta were still inside. Videl's slightly swollen belly. We call this procedure scrap suction. We use it when the fetus is small enough to be removed by suction, but too large and the tissue is tough to be dismembered by the pressure of the suction machine, the nurse explained. Videl could feel how the flow of the fetal tissue was vacuumed out of her, and the orgasmic feeling rose again under the wave of contractions gave her another climax. She came, her uterus compressed and pushed a suction tube out through the cervical canal. To a doctor, this was a familiar phenomenon. He knew that many of his patients had orgasms during the suction procedure, and he never used a pointed cannula because of this, as to avoid wounding the uterus when his patients reached a climax. He reinserted the tube and began crushing the head and torso with a flat-bladed forceps. Again, the shredded pieces were suctioned out as he cut them from the fetus, and the pieces to the steel bowl were filled with the abortion product. Videl knew most of the fetus were now removed from her room and that the process had been exterminated. She had asked the nurse not to throw it away. She wanted to see the remains when the procedure was over. She assumed it could give her another kick. The doctor had completed the scribe suction and inserted a long curette to cut the placenta off the uterine walls, then scrape it out through the open vagina, which dropped into the steel bowl and the aborted fetus. Last session of suction to clean her out, and the abortion was over. During the whole 40 minutes of the termination, Videl came 3 times. She now knew exactly what the book she found in the Osaka bookstore was talking about. This was an experience she would want to repeat. As she relaxed herself on the abortion table, the shredded pieces of the aborted fetus laid in the steel bowl, all placed under the lower end of the table between the knee rests. You will now reassemble it and to check everything has been completely removed from your womb. After that, your abortion will be over and done. You may relax for an hour or two in the room provided here at the clinic before you leave. We hope you enjoyed our services, the nurse said to her. Can I see it? Videl asked the nurse. Of course, here it is, she replied. Videl tried to identify the fetus's body parts, but only his skull and some of the limbs were still visible, as the other parts were buried under a bloody soup of placenta tissue and a pulp of squashed fetal organs. A last shiver went down her spine looking at the fetus she had aborted before the remains were brought to the waste bin. Videl left the clinic and programmed the reception's number into her cell phone's memory. She knew she would use it again.
Okay. Well, is that it? Is that it?
Yes.
Um,
That is the whole shebang. Ladies and gentlemen, you have survived Videl's abortion fetish.
you know, for once I wanted to see more Gohan.
For once, I sat down and thought to myself, why does God let us live when we make things like this? This. This.
I think I'm gonna go fucking kill myself.
I am the king of cringe. I can't die so long as there's cringe in this world. I am doomed to walk this earth so long as there's a Minecraft Let's Player or a Five Nights at Freddy's plushie somewhere in this world.
Yeah, I'm gonna go kill myself. So if you enjoyed and you want more, then yeah, you can.
Like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more, Jack's gonna go have a mental breakdown. Are we clear?